So we're going to make our scratchboard animals. Scratchboard is a surface that has color or a pattern on it or something on the surface, and then a white or black is placed over the top of it, and it's kind of like a thin layer of paint on top of it. And when you use a tool, or called a stylus, and you draw on it, you will remove the white or black paint and you'll reveal the color underneath. So you as you scratch the surface with the tool, you're not really scratching through the colored layer, you're actually scratching through just the white or black layer, and then it'll reveal the color underneath. So what I've done for you is I've already taken your picture, attached it to the piece of scrapboard, or scratchboard, I'm sorry. My older kids, the 4th graders, are going to be doing a black scratchboard, and the 3rd graders will be doing a white one. So your scratchboard paper might look a little bit different, but be really careful because this is really sensitive, and if you bump it with your fingers, you might scratch through the paper before you get started. So this image that you picked, or the animal that you picked last time, is on top of that paper. It's already taped down for you. It has your name on it, so you don't have to worry about any of that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your pencil, and we need to make sure our pencils are nice and sharp, because what we're going to do as we trace over all of the lines, we're going to push kind of hard when we do that. It will actually leave an imprint on the surface, and I'm not sure if you can see that, but there's a really light imprint of the line that I just drew. So we're going to trace over all the lines on the picture, and the areas that are black, you don't need to color those in. You can just like trace around the area. So like this black part of his hoof here, I'm just going to draw a line right here, and then I know when I look back at the image, I know I need to color that in. Same with these stripes on him. And it's good every once in a while to kind of lift it up and just check to make sure that you can see those lines, because if you can't see them, then you may want to go back over an area. Or if you forgot what you've started tracing or where you traced and you need to kind of pick up where you left off, you could do that. Okay, so we're done tracing. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, oops, missed this little line right there. I'm going to take this top paper, and I'm going to actually just fold it back. I'm not going to untape it because I don't want to remove it yet, because I may need to trace some lines, which I just saw a line right here on his foot. I don't know if you could see that, but I missed this little line right here. So if I don't untape it, then I can always put it back if I may need an area or need to look at it. Now when I'm working, I can lift it up this way and kind of see what's underneath. And you'll get a tool, it's called a stylus. It does have 2 ends. It has a fatter end and a skinnier end. I'm going to show you how to use both of those. The fat end's good for big areas that we have to remove, and the little area is good for just our tracing and drawing. So we're going to go now and just start tracing over those lines, and ooh, you can start to see the colors start to come through. These papers, both the black and the white, are rainbow underneath, so you don't really know what color is going to come out as you go. So it's kind of fun and exciting because you see different colors as you go. So I'm just kind of retracing all of those lines. I'm pushing maybe a little bit harder than I would with my pencil. And I'm trying to make nice pulls of the tool. I'm not trying to be sketchy with it. I'm just retracing the lines. And as you go, you'll find these little bits of scratchboard that come off. Just kind of brush those off to the side and make like a little pile for yourself. We'll throw those away at the end. Sometimes they get caught up on the end of your tool, like these did. But be careful when you're brushing off, because you can easily scratch this surface because it's so sensitive. You don't want to scratch into your picture in places you don't want. So see how it's getting caught up on my tool there, and just kind of grab it with my finger and push it off to the side. We want to try not to get this all over the floor because it doesn't sweep up really easy. So don't brush it onto the floor. Please just brush it off to the side and make a little pile for yourself, and we'll scoop that up at the end of class. And again, as you're going, if you can't remember where something was or you can't hardly see it, like I could only barely see the little bit of edge of the nose there, I can just lift this up and see, oops, I made a mistake. I was supposed to do a little hook line instead of a circle, and I did a circle. So you can't put it back, so I'm just gonna have to deal with that. So I'm just gonna make 2 circles. This is just a wavy line, and if you have something like that, it doesn't have to be exact as long as you kind of get the same idea. Sometimes tracing all that is really detailed. I am just tracing around everything. I haven't done any details to the areas yet. I'll show you what I mean by that. So if you look on here, this line that's all along the back of his mane is actually a really fat line. Also, like the insides of his eyes are all black. The lines around his mouth are really thick. I haven't done that. I've just simply traced it. And then once I have everything traced, I'm going to show you how to make those lines fatter, and I'm also going to show you how to clear out the areas you need to get cleared out, like the stripes on the zebra. Now this is going to be a confusing part because I did a lot of lines. Okay, so like I said, the back end of his mane up here is a fat line. So I'm going to flip my tool over. I'm going to use this fat side, and now I'm just going to kind of retrace the line with my tool, and you can see it just makes me a big fat line. Now you do have to make sure your tool is nice and flat. If you have it up on its edge or you have any of this little white or black stuff in the way, it won't work as well. Okay, and then you can see here when I did that, I missed a couple spots, so I can just flip my tool over and kind of just hit those really gently with the back end of that. Also then on the stripes or on the hooves, I can take my tool, and this is where you got to be careful. You want to make sure you kind of go slow, because if you go too far and you go outside of the design, you're going to make this line all wavy instead of straight like you want it to be. So I'm just kind of pushing, and I don't have to push really hard. It's just like you're scraping the top of that off. I don't know if you guys have ever scraped off a lottery ticket. It's probably not something this age group does often, but it's kind of like the same as that. We scratch it. Like I could probably scratch this with my fingernail. I don't want to because it'll be all up under my nails, but it comes off very similar to like a scratch off. And you can pull the tool or you can push the tool, whichever feels more comfortable. And if using just the little tip if you have more control over that, that's fine too. I can just scratch this away. Takes a little bit longer, but it still works just the same. Okay, and you just kind of keep going until you have your whole image finished. Now, this whole thing should take us, you know, at least 2 class periods to do. Maybe a little bit more, it depends on how slow we work, but it shouldn't take us like 10 seconds to do. So make sure you're taking your time and you're really watching your lines and you're making sure they're nice and neat. Now the other thing is, we never want to have anything, an animal, a person, anything like that just floating in air. So right now my zebra is literally just floating in the air. So I want to make sure I put a ground line. Now ground lines never go under their feet, they go behind them because we stand on the earth, not on top of it. So I'm just going to draw a ground line. My line's getting a little wobbly. That's okay. And that's happening because the buildup of that white stuff. So I want to make sure, kind of clean my tool off. And that's where I can come back in and maybe make it a little purposely more wavy, just so it doesn't look like a mistake. Now I don't want you to clear all this out because his hooves would blend in them with the bottom and he would look like he had stumpy legs. So we want to make sure we don't do that. And then I'm sure there's going to be questions about the background. As far as putting other designs in there, you can only do that and you will only be able to do that if there is time left. Don't start doing that. I want your animal completely done. I want your ground line in there, and then there'll be discussion about background. Okay?